11-year-old Charles Crane didn't mind too much about his big toe sticking out of his shoe as he walked the country road to school. During the Great Depression, it seemed like everyone in Cranetown, Kentucky had a hole in their shoe. You simply made the best out of what you had. Charles would walk 4 miles to school every day, and it was a good thing he could, marching himself into 3 separate wars. This is the story of retired Colonel Charles Crane.
The saddest day I ever had in the Army was when I was an enlisted man. You got $21 a month, and you'd get a ticket to pay for your $5 ticket. So that brought it down to $16. And then they took $1 out for the old soldiers home. And then they took $5 out to give you a ticket. Food, PX ticket. So you had about $9 left out of the 21. You went behind the latrine and shot dice, and sometime you won. I did that myself. If I didn't hit first time or second time, I quit. See? We were told, you know, don't throw anything out of the truck. We were on our way to Louisiana, and some joker threw the piece of paper or something out of the truck, and the column was stopped, and we were told to dismount. We walked back a mile, and we picked up all the trash on each side of the road. And that taught me a pretty good lesson. Another fellow in my company had a date, and they had a tea dance every Sunday afternoon in the Antlers Hotel in Colorado Springs. And he said, I've got a date, but she's got a girlfriend, and she won't go with me unless I bring somebody else for a girlfriend. And I said, okay, I'm happy to go with you. And it was Betty. She had a date with this guy. And we started talking. We were both from Kentucky, and both our family knew one another, and she started, well, first she said, I told her I was from Texas. And she said, you don't sound like you're from Texas. You sound like some Kentuckian. I said, well, that's what I am. And so before the evening was over, we switched. And the next day, I decided, well, I was going to call her up. And we had a dance on the post. So I called her up, and I asked her if she'd like to come out to the post for a happy hour, and she agreed. That's how we met. But I say the first day I had the date with the other girl, and then we got to talking. We were both from Kentucky, and before the night was over, we switched. We got married in May of, it was May of '47. I met her in '46. I got orders to Japan, so that hastened the wedding. I liked her pretty good, so I asked her, and she said sure. So I met her family. I went back to Indianapolis, Indiana, where her family was, and her father married us right then and there. The division commander wants to see you, and that scared me. What have I done? And it was General Bradley. So I got in the Jeep and I went to the division headquarters. I was escorted into General Bradley, and he asked me how, you know, my family and where I was born and all that kind of stuff. And then he finally said, now, why do you want to transfer? And I said, well, I had a company commander while you all were on maneuvers, and he was a nice guy. Going to get another company over here, and you put in for a transfer to my company. And I said, that's how it happened. And he said, well, I'm relieved. He said, I thought the morale was pretty poor, leadership was pretty poor, and so that's why he said, I'm relieved. So shortly after that, General Bradley was pulled out and went to North Africa to command the forces there, and you know the story about that. Eisenhower had him pulled out. He and Eisenhower were in the same class at West Point. At that particular time in 1941 and 42, I had a car. I had a 39 Chevrolet. And I'd take these guys to Fort Worth. We were stationed in Camp Bowie, Texas. And I'd take them to Fort Worth and charge them $3 a piece. Now, I was making money hand over fist. I was hauling 2 or 3 loads every weekend. Our commanders were great people. I don't recall a weak commander at all. They were all gung-ho. As a matter of fact, we had Colonel Hodes as our division, our regimental commander. And Colonel Hodes, I remember in Normandy, a soldier, I was a heavy weapons company commander, and the heavy weapons company commander went with the battalion commander. And he was a battalion commander, and the soldiers, one soldier was getting too much heat, and he jumped over a hedgerow. Hodes picked him up and threw him back across the hedgerow. That was the way he was, and he was go, go, go. He was a frontline soldier, even though he was a colonel. General Patton, we were in his army. He'd get us all together. We were up there, and he was up on the platform, and he got down off the platform, and he said, well, those Huns, stick them in the belly. I expect you to stick them in the belly. And that was General Patton. We landed at Omaha Beach. We marched, I guess about 3 or 4, 5, 6 miles, and we started getting shelled by the Germans. So we went into, now you know how they broke out there, the blanket bombing. Had the Air Corps fly over and just drop bomb after bomb. And that's when General McNair, who was Chief of Staff of the Army, was killed. On the 16th of December, the Germans hit us. And they were looking for weakness, not strength. And we fought them off for about, they were coming, and they were spread out dead in front of us. And then they went around. We had to fight our way out of it because they were looking for weak spots, not strong spots. Because Hitler said, you go to the sea. And if they hit a little resistance, they just backed off and went someplace else where there was not so much resistance. We went to Munich, and that's where the concentration camps were. We uncovered a few. They had bunks that were about far apart all the way to the ceiling. And the ceiling was higher than this. And these guys, these Jewish folks are laying in there. Their ankles were like that, and starving. So it just happened that we were in that sector. And one afternoon, about 4 o'clock, I guess, we were advised that we were going to march through Paris on Liberation Day. And it was raining to beat the band, and we were wet. And it stopped raining about 10 o'clock that morning. And we were trucked into the Champs-Élysées, and we marched down the 24 men abreast. They lined us up and said, now, you can be in the occupation of Germany, or if you want to go fight the Japanese, why, you can do that too. So to any man that wants to go home and fight the Japs, step forward. I stepped forward. The others stayed there in the occupation of Germany. So I came home, and I got a 30-day leave. And before the 30 days up, the Japanese surrendered. So I had orders to go to the invasion of Japanese. And they figured that 1.5 million men would be killed in the invasion of Japan. And anybody says the atomic bomb is a bad thing, it's wrong. I got a Silver Star in Korea. And what happened was we lost an outpost, and which put the whole line in some jeopardy. Because this outpost was about 600 yards in front of a main line of resistance, what they call MLR. And we lost the outpost. It was overrun by the North Koreans. And I had a pretty good captain, and we had orders to retake that outpost because the whole line was going to collapse. And I called back the regimental commander, and his name was Ward. And he said, Crane, he said, I've given you orders to retake the outpost. And I'm the battalion commander. And I said, well, I got a good captain who I've already given orders to him to retake the captain. And Ward says, I'm giving you orders to lead it. You lead the patrol out there and retake it yourself. So that's how I got Silver Star. I was advisor to the division commander in Vietnam, and it was the 9th Infantry Division, Vietnamese. And in Sadek, Vietnam. And our job was to see that they were well supplied with ammunition and food and whatever else, and see that they fought.